that jumped on in. But right now, battle's continuing on. XPD currently out there with pole promotion Esports, then on a scrap. This is Felix Vötter there for the 933. Ivan Vargas then is covering right now the XPD Racing 992 SimLab car, but I reckon there could be a move here into turn one. Here goes the posture to the inside, but ultimately better on the brakes is Ivan Vargas by probably the measure of metric of I'm not moving under them.
Yeah, and a better line too. So for GT3 cars, you see turns 1 and 2 kind of look like separate corners, but for cars with a lot of horsepower but low grip, willing to brake in a straight line, go a little bit wide around turn 1, and just really nail that exit out of turn 2, which they did well.
And then nailing that exit, they can now start thinking about, okay, where am I going to start climbing up the order? Where am I going to start looking at these positions? This is Lucas Herrmann, who's on a charge, needing to go and get progress. He's only 8 seconds off the back of Grid and Go, and so this is clearance of the must-make variety. Gets to the inside here at turn 9, puts a nice pass on, and says, look, I'm going to hold you up on the apex exit. And that is opening the door up there for Felix Vötter to go and make that pass. Pole promotion, I don't think are going to get close enough, though, to make the move in the 933. So I think they're just going to have to sit and say, look, it could have been more. Nico Schiffer is the other driver in with them. First time I've seen pole promotion Esports out there and running, and I think that goes to the testament of there are so many strong German sim racing teams. There's more than you can count.
Yep, close between 7th and 8th here, trying to work out what happened at the last pit stop. Did XPD Racing take one tyre? Did they have a penalty that they might have? There was a few out there with 5-second penalties. Pole Promotion Esport definitely went fuel only. So you're seeing that these cars move around plenty. Yes, the 9th... Wait, no? 135. Any penalties?
Well, the only one I'm seeing here is the 912 got 10 seconds on the pit lane infringement, which would have been out there and running. I believe that's the Fiercely Forward Red team with Jordan Air.
Might have been a 5-second penalty looming previously. They certainly got one.
Just got to look at the effort here right now from Felix Vötter. He's really having to try and stay with Ivan Vargas, and it's around every car. Now it's the XPD GT4 that they've got to clear and clear effectively here. Alberto Garcia Blasco doesn't make life incredibly easy for his own teammate out there, or I would say big sister car out there in Ivan Vargas, who chucks it in. Has to get a lot more brake and rotation there, David, in through turn 10 there. That hairpin, turn 11, that hairpin very tough to get right.
Yep, so we'll ride on board with the 933 Felix Vötter from Pole Promotion Esports.
Felix Vötter, we focus there with pole promotion, Esports, and they see back down the inside there, Ivan Vargas. And so the battle continuing on, and they sort themselves out into the final hour then at Motegi for your 24-hour series esports opener. Right now, these 6 hours coming down to these points, and well, the gaps have been closing in every category out there over the last hour. Grid and go down to a 13.7 second margin in 992s. Team 75 Bernhard by SimRC down to 20.5 over mono competition, and the gridandgo.com esports team relatively steady at 7.5 seconds. The gaps that we've got. 7th place still very much in the offing right now, and Vötter has got his pass, but Ivan Vargas here, I think, is going to want that back, and he's going to want that back pretty quickly. 72 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature out there. It's cold and it's overcast, and ultimately the night has set itself in.
And the 2% chance of rain right at the checkered flag has diminished itself greatly to, I think, pushing back about half an hour and only a 1% chance.
That's so deep by Ivan Vargas, and ultimately they're going to keep scrapping back at it. Vötter's going to lose that out. Very established block pass, but look at the run out of the final corner. That's going to force a defensive pack then needed from Vargas. They almost lean on each other here. Guys, you've still got 54 minutes to go and battle like this. Oh, this is going to be a little bit sketch, isn't it? Trying to work the exit here of 2, get back down underneath off the exit, try and knit one and pearl one over to turn 4, and are you going to leave any room? Oh, Vötter's so cheeky, there's contact. Didn't want to yield that one away. Vötter will look at that and say, I didn't want that contact. He gets right back up to the door, says, look, I am number 1 in this battle, and moves on by.
20th place in GT3 is 07 Racing, who's had to sit behind this and now drops in between the two. I can't tell who was nipping at who in that down the front straight and towards turn 3. I think XBD kind of placed themselves defensively, and Vötter tried to make sure that they stayed there.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's always a tango on a straight, isn't there? There's always give and take, and I always hate when a car is looking to try and make a pass and lets the leader just do whatever they want, basically, around the corner. Vötter gets stuck on the outside, and this is going to open up take 2. Then on the battle. I hate when a driver just allows the car that they're battling with all the space in the world to dictate where they want to go. I like drivers to be, no, you stay to that position, going to have to try and leave the door open there. That's a move under braking, and Vargas then gets one in the side, gets the pass on Felix Vötter, and that's the second bit of afters that they come into. Now they've got trouble with the GT4, of course, Sim Racing, just in front of Tom Kuhnert, and they're going to be side by side again off the exit. Marcin Imielski is not going to be happy right now in Team Checkmate Eden. He's going to have to try and push this 3 wide just to get the clearance into 1 and 2. Round the outside tries Vötter. More contact between them as they go through the middle of the corner. They're fighting these tin tops right now like there's nothing. Another flash of the lights from Ivan Vargas to say, I'm not pleased.
When will it finally be settled? Hard to know, because they go back and forth. Tyre strategy very equal, and then little things like the traffic playing a massive role here, where the GT3 cars appear, where the GT4 cars appear.
Finally,
the lead gap in this class has actually come down a second or so as well. Color Esports closing that.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. Let's see actually what that time is over the line compared to Grid and Go, because last lap Carla did a 51 flat. This time they do a 50.7. That's another 2/10 out of the pocket there of the 901. It's not enough at this stage of the race to get them back, but it is latent pressure.
And we're in an interesting spot here where I believe 992 cars can hit and get to the end now. Not quite yet for GT4 cars, and certainly not yet for GT3 cars, although we're seriously in the next 5 minutes looking at every stop that happens as being the last of the race in that class.
Very much so, is so, and so those final stops I think are going to be the makers or the breakers. And let's talk about that pit lane entry here, David, because I think it's actually underrated how difficult it is at Motegi, because you've got to jam on the brakes and do a slow 90-degree right-left chicane.
Yeah, nasty little chicane before you get to the pit lane speed limit, and track limits fiercely enforced there by iRacing, and then on the lane entry, the yellow line enforced by our race control and stewards, for which there's been a couple of pit lane infringements go out.
Most of that is you cut the solid white line as you enter the lane. You have to stay right on it. This is Motegi Group M Esports then, who, oh, they get a huge tangle as they work through the car in